an unconstitutional hoax.
Do you remember when big tech called themselves the free speech platform and used slogans like "Don't be evil"? Fast forward a decade and suddenly those platforms we loved for years have changed, and the promises they made at the start no longer apply. So what happened? How did we get here? Over the last decade, these companies have quietly moved their corporate headquarters outside the US to EU tax havens. The big change? Well, big tech is now governed under UN law. In simple terms, US free speech laws no longer apply to these platforms. What started as free speech for all is now regulated speech to some. We believe you, the people, not big tech, are the best judge of what you want to watch, read, and hear. We are content creators. We understand that a creator's ability to make a living should not be infringed upon. We created Zap Media with you in mind, a free market, next-gen media platform that believes in protecting your speech rights and, equally as important, your privacy, including IP theft and data mining. By removing the threat of censorship and freeing the market, content creators have a home base to build their platforms and grow their brands. The Zap Media community are brand ambassadors, coalescing behind publishers, subscribers, and advertisers alike. This is the beginning of the next big wave in digital media. With an estimated 225 million video-on-demand users expected by 2022, Zap is poised, with your help, to revolutionize the marketplace as we know it. We look forward to partnering with you.
Aloha and welcome to Trust and Verify. I'm Trust, he's Verify. Before we get this great show started, I got to introduce my friend, my partner, my co-host, Boogie Bumper. Hey, where you been, man? Everybody's been missing you. The chat is lit up saying welcome back. You're finally back on the airwaves. You've been gone for a month. No, I think it's only been like a week, but that's how it feels.
Been a week. Yeah, thanks, James. It's good to be back. Thanks, everyone in the chat. Very humbled. It's also very saddening because it just goes to show that there is a severe lack of entertainment and talent out here in this space. Because if people are clamoring for my return, that I can only imagine that the top 98 percentile of the rest of the internet is well below entertainment value, James. But thank you for having me back. Thanks for your patience, everyone. Yes. I was working hard, not getting much sleep, getting like an hour or two sleep a day. It's one of those things I had to basically flip everything sideways. So for the last, 2 years, I've been going to sleep at a certain time, getting up, working. I work nights, as everybody knows. And I basically had to, stay up an extra 12 hours and then sleep when I would normally be working. And it was all kinds of garbage. So it wouldn't have been entertaining, and if I had have found my way to doing a show, it would have been at about 4 o'clock in the morning, New York time, for around 20 minutes. But we are back.
I don't know about vengeance. I don't think you got an accurate read here. I think most of the people would have thought it would have been extremely entertaining. Boogie on no sleep, a couple of shots of tequila, maybe some more. They would have been like, hell yes, let's bring that show on.
We want to see it. We want to see it. Dancing topless on the studio desk, James, maybe, perhaps. I've got a couple of articles here, a couple of stories to go through, but number one, James, we need to address the title of today's show. We need to address, I don't know if this is serious or not. Mike tweeted this out earlier today, so I thought I'd grab it and open the show up with this. Home Depot sponsors 129 miles of Trump's border wall. So we know exactly where the money's coming from, don't we? It's James. It's James in his truck pulling into Home Depot at least 45 times a day. And now we can direct all of the liberal anger, all of the liberal outrage, all of the Alyssa Milanos directly to James R's door, because if it weren't for him purchasing drill bits and pieces of timber and whatever the hell he purchases at Home Depot, then none of this would have happened, James.
That's right.
None of this would have happened.
That's
the
right.
world's largest home improvement retailer announced today that it plans on sponsoring up to 129 miles of President Trump's border wall. Home Depot, known for its labyrinth-like shopping experience and employees who avoid eye contact, says sponsoring sections of the wall is a perfect government corporate fit. I think this is a funny article. I think this is a satirical piece. But you never know. James, are you building the wall? Are you responsible for this?
Yes. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We can see your chat. In fact, Elaine, I can see you on our version of the chat. I don't know if anyone else can see you, but I can't help you. Tatanka Deb, yes, this is live. Listen, let's open a little bit of the kimono like on my day job, right? I go into the Home Depot all the time, and to be honest, I do construction, so a lot of times I'm wearing my orange shirt. So when I'm in Home Depot, a lot of times people just walk up and ask me shit, right? So, and I tell them where stuff is. It's over here, it's over there, whatever. But the best story I ever have is I was telling Home Depot employees where their shit was because these people didn't know. I literally, no shit, a true story. One of the customers asked where the alcohol for stoves was, like for camping stoves, and the Home Depot associate was telling them, no, we don't have that. So I had to literally go over there and say, yes, you do. It's over on aisle 7. It's on the 3rd shelf. Go check it out. It was freaking hilarious, dude. The guy comes back and he's like, how'd you know that we had that? I go, dude, I shop at Home Depot 4 times a day, my whole life. I know where everything is. So it was pretty funny.
You're like the Asian Hank Hill. I can't remember, what's the name of that shop that Hank Hill, the Mega Mart, right?
I
think it's the Mega Mart. And where Chuck Mangione plays the trumpet. And Hank walks in there and he's trying to find, a drill bit or something like that, or some kind of, piece of tool or whatever. And he's there and he's talking to like the stereotypical, so we got all kinds of tools. If you go down, what the hell are you talking about? Don't you know the difference between a socket wrench and a ratchet wrench? James R. The
That's
Asian
right.
Hank Hill.
That's right. Hey, but let's get to that story real quick. Let me comment before we move on real quick. Is that, remember, we talked about this, that in the very beginning when we were talking about the wall, what did we all talk about? How we could open up sponsorships for the wall, right? That we could sell little plaques. We could build little towns.
Yeah.
We could have little strip malls on the top of the wall that, for certain little areas. And then off to the sides, you'd have like historical panels put up for people to have a reason to make it a destination, a Trump vacation destination. And now we're already starting off like with Home Depot sponsored this next 129 miles of wall. Big ass orange billboards on the side of it, facing Mexico, of course, because it's orange. We don't want to 129 miles of orange on the inside of the wall, but I think it's freaking fantastic.
The other thing, too, is if the wall is indeed sponsored by Home Depot, another thing that you'll notice down at the wall, James, will be between 50 and 100 undocumented migrants standing out the front looking for day labor. So that'll be a thing. What an appropriate place for them. You need help with your wall essay?
Okay, you get in the back of the truck. Let's go.
Exactly. I don't know where I want to start. Let's start off with this, James. Because you mentioned the first show that we did on Tab Show, if I can send your mind back, and I'm pretty sure it was the first ever episode, I asked you this question. If the wall doesn't get built and if people if people don't see justice based on what happened during the 2016 election, can President Donald Trump win re-election in 2020? Do you remember your answer to me that day?
Yes, it was an emphatic no.
An emphatic no. So let's see James Clapper on Don Lemon's show earlier this week.
Mr. Clapper, Director Clapper, for joining us. James Comey's not going to be prosecuted. That will disappoint the president. What's your reaction?
Well, I agree. It will disappoint him and other critics of Jim Comey. I think it was, though, the right decision
of course.
For two reasons, both in the interest of fairness and
fair,
as well more practical. I'm quite sure. I never saw the memos in question, but I'm quite sure that.
Wait, you never saw the memos? The memos? You mean the memos that were leaked to the media and printed and that anybody can Google right now and see the handwritten memos on the
But
internet?
he never saw them.
Remember, James, just a quick refresher. This guy was the Director of National Intelligence. Memo? What memo? I never saw a memo. Did you see a memo? Where the hell did a memo come from? This was the number one guy.
I'm not
The
even
number one
sure.
guy in intelligence.
I'm not even sure what memo we're referring to. I just know I've never seen them.
Yeah, whatever memo there was, I'm not sure what memo we're talking about, but I'm pretty sure I haven't seen it.
Jim, in his own mind, took great care to ensure that there was not classified information. And I'm told that what I understand is
I thought it was classified information.
Oh yeah, that's broadcast highly. And we have Director Mike in the chat who said emphatically right now in the chat he saw the memos. So it did strike me as odd, but now I can definitely make this connection, is to say that that's why he just said he's never seen him, is he's trying to get ahead of the story because he knows what's about to come out. If Director Mike's in our chat right now saying he saw the fucking memo, that means there's a story about to drop. He saw the fucking memo. Clapper's in deep shit.
Gentlemen, I'm a bit taken aback. James, you aren't suggesting that the head of the National Intelligence Committee would be dishonest, were you?
No, of course
You're
not.
not suggesting that.
No.
Surely.
I know
Surely
nothing. I saw nothing.
I saw no nothing.
proactively the FBI classified one of them as confidential, which is a pretty low bar for.
Okay, so they weren't classified, but they were classified as confidential, which is a low bar of classification, which they were not. Are you keeping up at home? Are you taking notes?
classification. And
So they were classified
I'd be
then.
curious what.
So they were classified. They're not classified. They were only classified as confidential, which is kind of a low bar of classification, which is not classification.
Before you
apparently.
don't push play yet, because I want everybody to make sure they get a load of that Don Lemon constipation face right there. But also on top of that,
He's trying to imitate his hero Tucker with the listening face.
the listening face. You remember Stelter with this, like Stelter's serious face? Yeah, I know everything you're saying is bullshit, but I have to look like I'm interested. So Clapper himself, what they're trying to do here is dance through this thing and try to make it seem like, it's no big deal. It was no big deal. Why? Because it completely 100% justifies Donald Trump's firing of James Comey, and that was the key salient point here. That's all that really mattered for the narrative to move forward.
Their rationale was for saying that one memo was classified. So anyway, I think,
But he just said it was classified.
Yeah.
He just said it was marked as confidential, which is a low form of classification. But that doesn't mean it was classified, ladies and gentlemen.
justice was served here by
Justice was served here.
refusing to prosecute. I think actually they'd have a hard time making a case before a judge.
So are you concerned that
Now that I agree with.
Speak.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's right there, but to come out and say justice was served, I like a reprimand for Comey that doesn't vindicate Trump. So, this doesn't vindicate Donald Trump in any way. I want you to know it's collusion is still on the table. Russia is still on the table, James. The Justice Department's Office of Inspector General released a report on Thursday that sternly reprimanded FBI Director James Comey for his handling of a series of memos he created to document conversations with President Donald Trump in 2017. During those conversations, Trump allegedly tried to get Comey to both pledge loyalty and to drop a criminal investigation of then National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. That's not accurate.
No.
That's not accurate. That's a manipulation. Among other things, while the OIG does not find that Comey's conduct merits prosecution, it does conclude that Comey's retention, handling, and dissemination of certain memos violated department and FBI policies and his FBI employment agreement. I actually forgot. I meant to bring up a couple of weeks ago, James, when we were discussing this, and I said we had a whole conversation about what the OIG actually is, and it's essentially internal affairs.
Right.
And, if you have any common sense whatsoever, you'll know that agents or, police officers, when dealing with internal affairs, they don't like them very much. They don't like internal affairs because it's seen as Exactly. It's seen as somebody coming in, sticking their nose up their ass and sniffing their business.
Yep.
And, police officers and agents, they want to be able to be free to go about their work without having somebody watching over their shoulder. So they're not particularly forthcoming and helpful when it comes to internal investigations, James, generally speaking.
Yeah.
And if they are, in fact, their comrades, their colleagues will get the shits with them if they give too much information to internal affairs and internal investigations. So I didn't expect much to come out of this at all.
No.
And I know a lot of people had their hopes riding on this. Oh, it's finally coming. It's finally coming. This is the problem with forecasting. See, oftentimes we can work ourselves up into such a fervor, into such a fever pitch, that we are creating an atmosphere of, extreme, what's the term I'm looking for? Something bias. My mind's a blank. I just woke up. Confirmation bias, right?
Yep.
Extreme confirmation bias. So any little piece of information that looks like it's aiding what we think is absolutely must be real. And we tend to magnify these situations, right?
Yeah.
So everybody just be calm, take a step back.
Right.
The OIG is not there to take people down. That's not what it is. It doesn't exist for that reason. The best thing that we're going to get out of this particular case with the leaking of the memos is potentially unethical behavior by people at the FBI.
Right.
And that might not necessarily mean prison time. That might mean, the equivalent of a dishonorable discharge for somebody at the FBI. And that might be about it, right?
Well, yeah, we talked about this so many times on every show we've done. Our crew gets it. The people that watch us understand that the OIG report was never, ever about prosecutions. We deliberately told everybody, hey, guys, he has no prosecutorial authority. That's not going to happen. That's not what this is about. This is what you're going to get is public disclosure. What you're going to get is what is going to lead to what's actually happening. The people to watch, we've been telling everybody, Durham and Barr, they have prosecutorial authority. Those are the ones that matter. This is just the rat squad. I mean, as everybody, look, from the point of view of investigators, no matter who they are, whether they be your local cop, an FBI agent, DEA, it doesn't matter. Okay. Internal affairs is Monday morning quarterbacking. And that's why everybody gets like, what the fuck, man? How can you weren't there. The gun wasn't pointed at your chest. How then can you tell me that I shouldn't have done what I did? You weren't the one there. That's really what it comes down to. The OIG's job is to find where are the holes in our procedures, policies, or laws, and then recommend to the people that actually are in charge how to fix it. That's the OIG's job, the whole thing, right? The next OIG report that we get, the big one, the FISA abuse one, it's public disclosure for you guys. You're going to get that. But I promise you on the next one, on the FISA abuse, this is where the fucking whole game's going to turn. Because I'm pretty sure that before or right after we get the OIG report, you're going to know about prosecutions that are happening. Because otherwise, the people will go crazy. We're at that point. Like we said, it's time to start grabbing stuff and heading to Washington. It's time to get your asses in gear, and it's pitchforks and torches time. Because shit's got to get done. And we believe 100% that it's going to get done. But exactly like I said on that very first show with you, if Barr does not pursue justice, Donald Trump has almost no chance to win unless he goes crazy, fires Barr, and brings in somebody else. Like literally, that's the only way he's gonna even get through, because we have to solve the two-tier justice system in this country. And I believe it. I can see the steps. I know what Durham's doing. We're discussing the grand juries that are in process. We're watching the U.S. attorneys around the country indict through grand jury process criminals for all kinds of these things, including we're watching FEC violations get prosecuted all over the country right now. It's not being talked about. People are so focused on this FISA stuff that they're not even realizing that the little players are going to jail right now. And it's all over the internet. It's out there. Just go to the U.S. attorney's timelines and see all these people that are getting put away for political corruption right now. You just don't know their names, and they're not the big names yet. But the big names are right around the corner. Within the next few weeks. We'll know by October for sure. We will know by October for sure.
But you know the saying in politics, James, perception is reality.
That's true.
If a tree falls in the woods and no one's around to hear it, does it make a sound? If somebody gets arrested and thrown in prison for political corruption and nobody notices, does it really happen? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I tend to agree. Because here's what I see, and I could be wrong because I'm always coming at things like this in the United States, but always from a position of being an outsider, right? Because obviously I'm not there. I'm not picking up everything that you guys are picking up. But then, some might say, well, at least then I don't have the same level of emotional attachment to one or particular side that other people might. So I might see things that other people miss. But what it looks like to me is we're now at a stage, because this has gone on for so long, and because that big fish hasn't been taken down, I see a lot more people now sort of getting close to their wit's end. Do you know what I mean? Mm. And almost losing hope, taking the black pill. A lot of people are taking the black pill now and saying, well, we thought that we did something in 2016 that was going to change it, and nothing changed. And now I don't care anymore. I've given up. I'm just going to live my life and do my thing, and I'm checking out, and I don't want anything to do with it. And I see more and more people going towards that.
Yep.
So I think if there's any chance for, maybe it won't mean re-election or not re-election, but at least something for the base to encourage them, you know what I mean? Something to throw out there to get people motivated again. Because if you don't get that target, if people don't see that justice is being done, they're going to be like, well, what the hell am I fighting for? Why the hell do I care?
What's even
Why the
funny,
hell am I following the news? Why am I having these conversations, right?
What's extremely funny to me about what you're saying right now is, A, I agree with you, but here's what's absolutely hysterical to me, is those people that are saying that are literally not living in reality, because Andrew McCabe is under grand jury investigation right now, and it is all over the news. It's literally all over the internet. If you just do the bottom line and research, just type in Andrew McCabe, grand jury. It's been, not only did we break the story on Ladies of Liberty, but subsequent to that, it's in the mainstream media right now. Andrew McCabe is under grand jury investigation. That is a big fish that is being indicted right now. So anybody that's giving up hope, you're not paying attention to the fucking stories. It's like literally blinders on and okay, I don't care about McCabe. I want somebody else. Like, you have to see how it's going. There's no denying that shit's happening right now. If all you have to do is actually read for it.
It's true what you say about the McCabe story, but I think it gets swamped by other stuff.
Yeah.
And right now it's guns and racism, right? Guns, racism, racism, guns, guns, racism, racism, guns. Can we move on? I want to go to the biggest story of the week, James.
Sure.
The biggest news story of the week. Kirsten Gillibrand. Gillibrand. Bum, 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 bum. Thanks, Kirsten. It's been real. Let's check it out.
This morning, the September debate stage is officially set, and the sharply smaller field of debaters has already started a new phase of the winnowing process. Nearly half of the 2020 Democratic hopefuls will be watching the debate from the sidelines. And now at least one is leaving the race altogether. Kirsten Gillibrand, the New York senator who put women's rights at the center of her campaign.
She put women's rights at the center of her campaign. So I guess, James, America is a country full of misogynists. Is that what we can say now? Is that fair now?
Yeah.
The Democrats are misogynistic. The Democrats hate women.
That's right.
Because if you've got a candidate who's a woman, James, running from the ultra-progressive state of New York, who puts women's rights at the center of her campaign and consistently polls 0% for the entire time that she's in the campaign, one can only surmise that the Democrats, James, are a bunch of woman-hating misogynists.
That's right.
Practically Donald Trump voters at this point.
Announcing her departure from the race last night with some words of advice for her fellow contenders.
Big news.
But it's important.
Words of advice from her
Who's
fellow
going to
contenders.
listen?
That would be like, imagine being the coach of an NFL team, James, and having the Cincinnati Bengals come up and tell you how to win a Super Bowl.
Exactly. Exactly. Who wants advice from the... Wait, you never polled a numerical value. Like, literally never polled a numerical value, and you've got advice for us? Please go away.
Yeah, imagine, the crowning moment of your career as a presidential candidate was being consistently statistically irrelevant. Like, I've got something to offer here. I can help. I'm helping. Yes, of course you are.
To know when it's not your time, and to know how you can best serve your community and country. I believe I can best serve by helping to unite us to beat Donald Trump in 2020.
You can't even unite 10 people to vote for you. How the fuck you going to invite the whole party?
Well, to be fair, she's right. She did unite people against her. Everybody against her. She got everybody united. I want to go to this, so I'm going to jump ahead in this video because this is something you've talked about, James. This is something we've talked about, the logistics of all of these candidates being whittled down to the eventual winner. The purpose of having all of these candidates with all of their little, chosen little hot button issues. One guy might be gun control, Andrew Yang might be universal basic income, Kirsten Gillibrand might be women's rights or whatever it is, and they've all sort of identified their own little issues with their own little support bases behind them. And what's the point? Like, we would ask, why are there so many people running? But this is something we've talked about before. Watch this.
To Congresswoman Donna Edwards. So, Donna, look, Senator Gillibrand saying in her departure video, you have to know when it's your time and how to best serve your country. Did you hear in that maybe a message to other low-polling candidates? Are folks who, at 1% or less at this point, maybe needing to listen to that advice?
I did hear that, and I thought Senator Gillibrand's departure message was really a class act. I mean, look, I confess she's a friend, and I
she's
think
a friend as well. The departure message was a class act. Maybe she should have opened her campaign with a departure message. Things might have been different, James.
What was that?
She ran a
Go ahead.
Wasn't there just this week as well? I'm sure we don't have it because nobody even knew he was in the race, but there was somebody else that dropped out too. I don't even remember the guy's name, but there was some guy that said, was it like Hickenlooper or one of those guys? I don't know.
Hickenlooper was a couple of weeks ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Hickenlooper,
Yeah.
Lukenhipper.
Yeah.
Hickenlooper. Whoever the hell he is.
Whatever. I mean,
they said he ended his campaign. I said, I didn't even know it started.
I didn't even know it started. Where the fuck where was he?
Who the hell is this guy?
These people are insane. And the real thing is like, think about it like this, right? Think about Mayor Bill de Blasio, Mr. Shit Talker himself, from the largest American city. What has he got? 15 million, 30 million people? I don't even know. In that one freaking city, and he can't even break fucking 1% and didn't even make the next debate stage. I mean, come on, people. This is insanity.
strong campaign with a strong message, and in this wide field, it just didn't come through. And I think what she's saying is, we have a Senate, as Democrats, a Senate that can be won for the majority and for Democrats if we, run candidates who are in those races.
Right.
We have other opportunities for these candidates and for her to really challenge Donald Trump by supporting the eventual nominee of the party. There's a lot at stake.
There you go. There you go. This is what we've been saying.
Yep.
Right? This is all
100%.
about funneling support behind one eventual candidate. Because I think you'll find the big mistake, what they realized from 2016, James, is the way that they put Hillary Clinton up, okay, there was a lot of animosity between the Clinton supporters and the Bernie Sanders supporters, all right? So much so that Democrats who were in the tank for Bernie Sanders vowed never to vote for Hillary Clinton, not voting for her.
Yeah.
And I would say that the DNC probably saw the mistake of that, because I wonder if they think that if they had have got all of the people who wanted to vote for Bernie Sanders on board, if the election might have been closer in the particular states where Hillary Clinton didn't do particularly well, right?
Mm.
So they're not about to let that happen again, are they? Mm. They're not about to let, say 1/3 of potential voters not show up because they don't like the winner. So I think this time around, the message has gone out. It's going to be like, okay, guys, have your fun. But once we start whittling this group down, everybody needs to be pushing in the same direction. Everybody needs to be behind the eventual winner. Because if we don't, then Donald Trump, we're handing him the White House again for another 4 years. And this is something you were talking about on previous shows on this show. Yep. 2-3 months ago, that this is the whole purpose of having this big field, is to actually, what looks like a division is actually, it looks more and more like a focused effort to get everybody on the same page, believe it or not.
Yep.
It's paradoxical.
Yep. It's 100%. We called that right We've called it right from the beginning. We know what's going on, and that's why people watch this shows, because we get it right every fucking time. These people are all about robbing, stealing, and cheating. But here's the really good news for us, is I believe that Donald Trump and William Barr are doing everything correctly. We're going to win by such a wide margin this next time, but we have to do our jobs. We literally, everybody in this chat, everybody you ever meet, we have to do our jobs. We have to convince one more person to vote for Donald Trump. That's your job. That's what you have to do. If you do your job, we're going to wipe these people off the map. Why? Thank you, Blexit. Thank you, Walk Away. Thank you, Jexodus. They screwed up the last time. They're not getting a redo. Those people are gone, and they're gone for good. And one of the biggest numbers you could get is, like everybody is saying, Donald Trump won last time completely without almost any of the minority vote. And this time right now, he's got like 30% of all of the minority groups. So that statistic alone tells you they cannot win unless Donald Trump falls on his face. Like literally if he makes the gaffe or the mistake or William Barr screws him. Those are pretty much the only way that's going to happen.
Can I walk people to the ledge off the back of that?
Of course.
Can I walk? Okay, that's what we do on this show. Okay, so let's just say that he has 30% of the minority vote. My first thought is, who cares? Where are they? Where is the minority vote? If you're talking, so does he have 30% of African Americans in Deep South, James? States that he already wins? Then it makes no difference.
Correct.
Does he have 30% of African Americans in New York and LA? Doesn't matter. That's not going to make any difference. It's not going to flip any states. It's not going to flip any districts, right? Because it's not enough.
Right.
So in the states where he already wins, where there is a big African American population, it doesn't matter if 30% vote for him because he's going to win them anyway. And in states like New York and California, 30% of the African American population isn't going to be enough to overcome the margin that already exists in the states that he lost bigly in 2016. So I don't think it actually makes that much difference. It might make for good PR, but the danger here is not the minority votes. The danger here for Donald Trump is the 60,000 or thereabouts votes that he won by across 3 states in the blue wall states. And up in the area of Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, was that one? What's another one? Michigan.
Yep.
Right?
And those are the states he's going to win.
He has to.
But
they're not minority voters though.
Yes,
that's white working class votes.
No,
that we're talking about.
Nope. Michigan is going to turn big time this time. That's one of the states where he's up big time. Why? Because he brought back the auto industry. Because he's literally helping all those plants in Ohio, Michigan, and Wisconsin. He's bringing in jobs with the cell phone plants as well as car part manufacturing. And then you look over at the other big state where he's got a big minority flip. It is actually going to be Philadelphia, which is part of Pennsylvania, which he barely won as well, and which provably lost a bunch of congressional seats in the last time because it was right after that election and all this chaos was happening. So the states where that's going to, so the states where this is really going to matter, the stats that we're talking about right now, are those flip states. And that's exactly what I'm saying, is that as long as we, the people, do our jobs, the percentage of change is going to be big. And let me tell you another state that might be in play, which doesn't matter at all. It really doesn't matter at all. But what I'm finding more and more every day, even driving down the road, Hawaii. Literally the bluest of the blue states in the middle of the bright blue fucking ocean. There's people driving their cars down the freeway with Trump flags hanging out the windows saying, like, a big fuck you to all the Democrats that live here. Like, there's people in this state that are going out that far. And then you look at Florida. You look at what happened in Florida. Florida was it's always been that one that's like, is it going to go blue? Is it going to go red? Is it going to go blue? Is it going to go red? This time right now, it's going fucking red. We've got greater Hispanic support in the state, greater black vote in the state, greater Cuban support in the state, greater than the numbers he won by last time. People that have went, holy shit, everything he said not only is true, but my life personally is better. I got a job. I've got more money in my pocket. My kids are going to be able to go to college. All of these things, all these factors, you're exactly right. It is those swing states, even the ones that they're not necessarily considered swing states like Florida, but to be able to cushion that lead there, it saves and secures a state that could have flipped. So yes, that's why I tell everybody the same thing. Listen to Boogie, listen to me, both, because we have to do our job. We have to do that job, especially in those swing states.
Well, James, when it comes to minorities and what minorities need, and I don't even, I'm almost sick of using the term minority, because it's like, what are we talking about here? Half people? Right. Are we talking about little people? What the hell are we talking about here? Are they smaller in stature? I mean, when it comes to NBA players, they're not really minorities, are they? They're all like 7 feet tall. It's a shitty term, anyway. Put it that way.
Yep.
But when it comes to what people of non-white backgrounds, James, what they prefer, what they need to succeed, there's one guy that I go to, and that's Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom knows his stuff. Gavin Newsom, brought up, educated in the finest, overly white schools, James, brought up in the most whitest of white rich suburbs. He knows exactly what the minorities of California need. What? And like Kirsten Gillibrand, he wants to give Donald Trump some advice.
Why does he look like Sean Penn mixed with the American Psycho guy, which I said last night? Like, look at that picture of him right there. Like, with the hair and the clothing. Like, literally, he's going to leave the stage when he's done here and stab someone with a butcher knife.
Come to East L.A., Donald Trump. Eat your heart out.
Donald Trump, eat your heart out. Come to East L.A. You look wonderful. I say that because I'm in the most diverse city, in the most diverse region, in the most diverse state, in the world's most diverse democracy.
We love diversity.
Apparently.
Big fan of diversity here.
And I could not be more proud to be here.
Does he know? I was just going to say, it seems like the only adjective this guy knows is diverse.
Diversity.
Here today, not tolerating that diversity, but celebrating that diversity. This is a down payment.
Okay. What is?
Because I am not naive.
No.
Look at that
Every
face.
single one of you.
There's a Mitt Romney.
You came up to me after and say, well, that's really nice, Mr. Governor. I appreciate the help with the tuition, but when are you going to help me with my rent? When are you going to help me with my transportation? When are you going to help me with the cost of my books? When are you going to help me, with my kids that need childcare when I'm...
when are you going to live my life for me, Mr. Governor? When are you going to pay for literally everything in my life? When are you going to do that?
And education. And we get that.
We get that.
And we have a lot more work to do.
So, I'm here in the most diverse city, in the most diverse state, in the most diverse democracy, Mr. Diversity, capital big swinging D diversity, James. We're not tolerating diversity. We love diversity. And the reason we love diversity is because apparently I need to pay for your books, your car, your kids, your transport, your job, your education, your healthcare, and everything else. Because I loves me some diversity, James.
Yeah, that's literally.
If that's not pandering on the next level, then what is?
Forget pandering. That's straight up racist. He's literally saying that everybody that qualifies under their umbrella explanation of diversity can't feed themselves, can't clothe themselves, can't put themselves in school, can't get a good job, can't pay for a car, and can't pay for childcare. So he's literally saying anyone that falls under his diverse umbrella, white people got to pay for your ass because you're too dumb and too stupid to do it for yourself. Think about it. This might be the most racist speech ever given if you consider the terms that he used.
No, James, I'm afraid I'm going to have to push back on that. I'm sorry, you're the racist. You're the racist here. Because if you're not, James, if you're not celebrating diversity and celebrating the fact that you say that certain people need to have everything provided for them because they couldn't possibly provide it for themselves, that just proves that you have no empathy. But it's okay. I've got the solution right here. I have the solution. The Washington Post, ladies and gentlemen, $1,000 a month, no strings attached. Yes. A Mississippi program giving low-income mothers a year of universal basic income reflects an idea gaining popularity with Democrats, even as restrictions on public benefits grow, James. Cheryl Gray had sat through so many presentations about programs to lift herself out of poverty that she could practically recite all the advice. But one she heard last November seemed too generous to be true. A non-profit organization was looking to give 20 African-American single mothers living in public housing $1,000 each month for a year. Yep. They'd be able to use the money in any way they pleased. I could do anything, Gray, a 25-year-old single mother of two, recalled thinking, because this was not the way assistance programs typically worked. To be fair, like, can I just put a caveat out? If a non-profit organization is doing this, I don't care. Great. Right. If you want to give money to a charity and that charity wants to give people universal basic income for a year for some kind of social experiment, more power to you.
Yep.
More power to you. That's when you start getting the government to do it that people get upset, because the government takes money from people at the end of the point of a gun. Threatens to throw you in prison if you don't hand your money over. Charities, different story altogether. For decades, Republicans and Democrats alike have tried to push families out of poverty by adding restrictions to government welfare programs. There were work mandates, time limits, benefit caps, rules aimed at pointing families toward what the government thinks are good choices. Now there is increasing interest in trying out the reverse. Here in the cradle of the South, the women would be part of one of the first pilot programs in the country to assess a seemingly simple solution to systemic poverty, giving people money, no strings attached. Let me tell you why I have a problem with this. Now, people are going to come out and say, and they're going to cite all sites of similar studies and similar programs that have happened elsewhere in the world, James. You take 20 people who are struggling to get by, living day to day, living hand to mouth, and you give them $1,000 a month, no strings attached, spend it however you want. And the people will then tout the overwhelming success of this program. Well, now they don't have to stress anymore. Now the kids are getting food. Now the kids can get books for school. Now they're happier, right? Blah, 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 blah. But here's the problem, and I think it's a pretty basic one. When you do this to advocate that everybody gets $1,000 universal basic income, no strings attached, $1,000 a month becomes the new zero.
That's right.
Because if everybody, if you're giving $1,000 a month to certain people to get them from zero to 1,000, they're going to do better, right? Because they have $1,000 compared to everybody else that everybody else doesn't have. But if you give everybody $1,000, then everybody just moves $1,000 up. It doesn't make any difference. You're not solving any poverty at that point. You're just moving where the poverty line is.
That's right.
And then how long do you think it's going to be before the price of living goes up, James? So all the food will go up. All the rent will go up. The price of electricity will go up. The price of gas will go up. Why? Because there's a new zero. There's a new baseline.
Just like Seattle just learned. Exactly like Seattle just learned, because they touted their success at raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. And now a year later, they realized that it fucked everybody all the way across the board. Exactly like we've been saying, because $15 an hour became the new zero. Your minimum wage is minimum lifestyle. It always will be, because it's the basis upon which everything else is metered. It will never change. It will never do anything but fucking kill the middle class. Why? Because you think they're going to give you a $1,000 raise just like they're giving them a $1,000 raise? Nope. In fact, they're going to use, this is what a business would do, and it's actually smart. If you've been working at your job for 10 years and you're earning whatever, it doesn't matter, and suddenly they give the raise to everybody at $1,000 a month. So, in other words, for you to keep up with that pace of zero, they would need to give you a raise of $1,000 a month. But what happens if they say, you know what, I've always wanted to get rid of James. James is the shittiest employee we have. I have always wanted to get rid of that fucker. We're not giving him a raise. Fuck him. He doesn't get one. What do you think happens to you? You suffer and maybe have to go try to find a new job. That's what's going to happen. That is exactly 100% what's going to happen, is you're going to shrink the middle class, period.
Yep. And, if everybody, then it's like, that movie, The Incredibles. The main bad guy in The Incredibles wants to give everybody on Earth superpowers. And they're saying, well, why the hell would you want to do that? And he said, well, if everybody's a superhero, then nobody's a superhero. So if everybody's got $1,000 a month coming in, then nobody's poor. But if everybody has an extra $1,000 a month, then if you have $1,000 a month, then that's it. You're going to be one of the poor people because that's where the new zero. I mean, it's basic stuff because these studies are inherently flawed in that because you're giving people money and it's not an across-the-board thing.
Here's the thing. Scientifically, it's not a closed-loop system. That's all you need to understand.
Yep.
When you do scientific experiments, you control all variables so that you can control the variables, right? It has to be a closed system. In this particular case, they're giving individuals inside a larger system money.
Correct.
That's not the same system until you give everybody. Once you give everybody, you're screwed because you've just created the closed loop system now, and now it becomes the new zero. You understand? It's scientific. It's 100% rooted in fact, not theory, not perception, not fucking maybe so-so whatevers. This is fact. It's scientifically provable.
Yep. It's funny, like whenever a government here in Australia says, adds money to the pension or something like that, we're going to increase welfare or pensions by $25 a week. And you'll be amazed how all of the local councils, James, in all of the different states say, oh, just a quick news flash for you. We're actually going to be raising the rent $25 a week. You know what I mean? Like just like that. It just happens every single time. They take more tax, the pension goes up, and then the cost of living goes up. Hey, we're going to increase the rent $25 a week. Sorry about that. You've got an extra $25 a week. What are you worried about? The exact same thing will happen here. We're talking about governments. But maybe the problem is, James, that Donald Trump, maybe the reason that you're against this is because of Donald Trump's hate, and you just hate people too. Have you considered that? Maybe you're just a hateful bigot, James. Donald Trump, full up to the eyeballs with hate. He won that once and hopes to do it again. He's going to win with hate, James. Love Trump's hate. A month later, he was at something called the Family Leadership Summit, a gathering of conservatives in Ames, Iowa. Trump gratuitously mocked Senator John McCain as a loser, telling his conservative audience he was a war hero because he was captured. I like people who aren't captured. He was quickly denounced by Republican Party leaders. Former Texas Governor Rick Perry, also a presidential candidate at the time, said Trump was unfit to be commander-in-chief. Ooh, that didn't age well, did it, Rick? That didn't age well. Republican National Committee strategist and chief spokesman Sean Spicer, was he really a DNC strategist and chief spokesman at the time? I thought he was a failed press secretary. There is no place in our party or our country for comments that disparage those who have served honorably. Jeb Bush tweeted, enough with the slanderous attacks. It is unclear how the remarks by Trump, who currently is at or near the top in opinion polls, measuring the popularity of the sprawling field of Republican presidential contenders, will be received by party stalwarts, many of whom who are staunch supporters of the military, NPR reported later that same day. Again, didn't age well. But it is now clear how his attack would go over. Trump's campaign responded by pointing out that Mr. Trump left to a long-lasting standing ovation, which will be by far the biggest ovation of the weekend, and much congratulatory praise. What was going on with Trump's seemingly gratuitous, out-of-the-blue slander of the United States Senator and war hero, James? Clearly, Trump hated McCain. It was extraordinary that Trump gave voice to his hate in such a prominent public way, but what was even more extraordinary was the reaction to it. Listen to this. The Republican base loved it. Sure, they loved his unfettered hatred of Muslims and Mexicans and immigrants in general. Trump hates immigrants in general? See, I've lost count of this is me talking now, I've lost count of the amount of speeches where Donald Trump says, we love immigrants, we want more people to come in because we got so many jobs. We got so many jobs, but you have to come in legally. Legally. You can't come in illegally. We love immigrants, we love a nation of immigrants, yeah, all of that crap. It's like it never happened, right? Back to the article. And they knew exactly what he was doing when he encouraged violence at his rallies against black protesters, James. And when he made fun of black women like Rep. Maxine Waters as low IQ. He wasn't just using dog whistles and winks and nods. The racism was right out there in the open. But it wasn't just racism, James. It was the hate. The hate. His raw expression of hate. It was right there on his face when he denounced McCain as a loser. You see the hate, James. You could see the delight he took in it. You could see his hatred of all that was other on his face every time he rallied on and on about the wall, promising he would make Mexico pay for it. That's what you do with people you hate, James. This is the article. You make them pay. and you make them pay for something they don't want. You belittle them. You treat them as other than human. You call them names. You refer to them as insects and vermin. You push their faces in it, and then you make them pay. And I just thought, okay, if that's a truthism, if that's what you do to people you hate, you make them pay, then I'm just thinking back to like all the times when people like the Democrats have come out and said, you know, we need to get the white guys to pay for the free health care of the illegal immigrants. You know, you Nazi, bigoted, hateful white people, you need to pay for free health care, free education, right?
Free everything.
Apparently, that's what you do to people you hate. You make them pay. So here we have it. Confirmation, ladies and gentlemen. The good people at Salon and their democratic, sycophantic elites in the world of politics, that yes, they do hate you. They hate white people. They especially hate men, and they hate taxpayers because they're always trying to get them paid for somebody else's shit, even though they don't want them to. Fantastic.
Yep.
Confirmation.
I got to tell you two things right away. Number one, John McCain is probably the only man in history to ever be able to successfully use the media to turn him being a traitor into being a hero. Because it is well documented that he was a traitor to his fellow soldiers. He is literally had the title Songbird. He literally told the enemy everything he could possibly tell them. And somehow he became a hero. What? Like, this is a scumbag, scumsucker, never was a conservative, stole the title, and the media loved him for it. So, beyond that, fuck John McCain. Don't give two fucks about him. I would argue right now, guess what? Guess who is paying for the wall right now as we speak? That would be Mexico. How? 28,000 soldiers on the border fighting to keep our border more secure. What else are they doing? They're arresting and detaining and finding and destroying more fentanyl from China than has ever before been found. That's right. 23,000 kilos of fentanyl. That was found in Mexico. Oh, yeah. So there was enough. That's enough fentanyl to kill 7 billion people. Who found that? That's right. That was Mexico. So they are paying for the wall in many different forms, including that once that big, beautiful wall is up, we won't have all these illegals streaming across our border and sucking away, what is it, $110 billion a year in our medical costs alone? That's just talking medical. We're not even talking about all the other things that add up into that. So we all knew this. Like, see, that's the difference here. The left are a bunch of dumb, low information idiots. The people on the right, when the second Donald Trump said, the second he said, we're going to make Mexico pay for it, we knew what he meant. We absolutely never at all, not for one single second, thought, hey, Mr. President, yo, SA, I got the check for you. I'm going to sign that check for you right now.
Like handing him one of those big oversized novelty checks.
I got the Publishers Clearinghouse for you, Mr. President. It's right here. See, we pay in pesos. Look. Yeah,
maybe a suitcase full of, like, you know, cash. Here, Mr. President. Here you go. A bag of blood diamonds, perhaps. Maybe that was. It was never going to be that way. We never thought it was going to be that way.
No, they were going to pay by
characterized.
Cutting our costs. They were going to pay by cutting our costs for all of the illegals that come into this country, period. We knew it from day one.
Well, James, since we're giving the president advice, Kirsten Gillibrand, Gavin Newsom, and, of course, the good people at Salon, let's strike while the iron's hot, shall we? London Mayor warns poster boy for white nationalism Trump is blotting out Holocaust lessons. I could just picture Donald Trump going around in the library, like using liquid paper whiteout on the history books and the Holocaust, and just scribbling in, never happened. Okay, guys. A wave of extremist far-right movements with chilling echoes of the Nazis, James, is being fueled by Donald Trump. Where the hell is this happening? I need to know where these Nazi movements waving Donald Trump flags are at. I need to know where they are, because I can't see any. Can you see these Nazi movements happening? Right, Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London, James, mayor of London, on the 80th anniversary of World War II, because you know how we don't like using historical military things for modern day politics. Remember how upset we got when Donald Trump turned Independence Day into his own personal political rally? Right? Remember how much we hate that shit?
Yep.
Now we use the 80th anniversary of World War II to say Donald Trump is a Nazi. The rise of far-right movements and leaders fueled by President Donald Trump, the global poster boy for white nationalism. He's a shitty poster boy for white nationalism. His daughter, he married off his daughter to a Jew. Can you explain that to me? What the hell are you on, Sadiq? I could think of at least 10 better poster boys. James would be a better Nazi poster boy than Donald Trump. Jesus Christ. At least he's Asian. The Nazis liked Asians, right? Come on. The global poster boy for white nationalism threatens to wipe out the lessons of World War II, London Mayor Sadiq Khan charged in a scathing essay on Saturday. An entire generation of brave men and women around the globe sacrificed everything to defeat the singular evil of Nazism and fascism. Did he just say two things and then call it a singular evil?
Yes.
So he's obviously a fucking genius too, isn't he? The singular evil of these two things, Khan wrote in The Observer to mark the 80th anniversary of the Nazi invasion of Poland that launched World War II. By the way, Poland, big fans of Donald Trump, you'll be pleased to know.
Yep.
They love Trump over there. But now, for the first time in more than 70 years, it seems the lessons of the Second World War are genuinely at risk of being forgotten, or worse still, being rewritten. This comes as a new wave of extremist far-right movements and political parties are winning power and influence at alarming speed. Isn't that's some kind of admission there from Sadiq Khan? Fueled by Donald Trump, the global poster boy for white nationalism. In addition, democratic values, including the rule of law, a free press, and independent judiciary are under siege, he wrote. Vulnerable, often minority communities are being demonized. I can't believe I'm reading this. Remember, this is the government that threw Tommy Robinson in prison for filming outside of a courthouse, right?
Yep.
And he mentions the rule of law, a free press, and independent judiciary are under siege because of Donald Trump. Vulnerable, often minority communities are being demonized, and in appalling new parallels with the horrors of the past, James, migrants, refugees, people of color, LGBTQ+, and Jewish communities are bearing the brunt. Bearing the brunt.
Yep.
We owe it to those lost in World War II to defend the ideals they died for and ensure that the more peaceful and stable world they built lasts for generations to come. Okay, Sadiq, then why are you importing ISIS terrorists to London then?
Yep.
Why are you doing that?
And giving them welfare, too.
And giving them welfare and free housing.
Yeah.
Free housing. There was no immediate response from Trump, but he has blasted Khan several times in the past, including insulting him as a stone-cold loser as the president headed to London for a state visit in June. See, here's the thing. I thought that I, paid attention to the media, and I thought that I was pretty good at summing up trends and stuff, James. And I thought by now these people would have realized that the Nazi references just point like it doesn't work. I thought they would have figured that out by now. But it seems I was wrong. I was giving people far too much credit. I was giving people far too much credit and thinking that they are far smarter than what they actually are. Because I might be stupid, but I'm so stupid that I thought they were smarter than what they appear to be. That's how stupid I am. I should have known better. Yeah. I should have known that they would just keep saying the same thing over and over and over again. They're never going to stop. This is never going to end. And it's not even to do with Donald Trump. Next time another Republican runs, it'll be the same thing again. Forever.
So let me start off by tooting my own horn, because I can't really reach my back, so I got to toot my horn.
Give yourself a pat, mate.
Is that months ago, didn't I tell everybody, and I know that some people remember because it was actually brought up in one of my other scopes, but just to be clear, I told everybody the Queen was going to back Brexit. I told you she was going to back this play, and it's going to fucking happen. This whole attack, this whole article right here, is not an attack against Trump, believe it or not. That's an attack against Boris Johnson. But he can't do that directly the way he did to Donald Trump. See, he knows how people think. He's writing for his audience. His audience is in England. And the direct correlations being drawn between Trump and Boris Johnson are all over the news in every country around the world. That article has nothing to do with Donald Trump. He's deliberately trying to make the people that he's talking to draw that same conclusion about Boris Johnson because of Brexit. That's it. That's what you're seeing right there. It's cut and dry. It's in your face.
That's a very good observation there. That's true. They say they just call Boris Johnson the Trump of Britain now.
That's right.
It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing. The gaffe-filled, hateful, bigoted, nationalist, populist Boris Johnson.
Yep.
I want to get back to Joe Biden, James. Important stuff about Joe coming out. The Biden gaffe machine sparks worry for Democrats. Let's have a look here.
It's a powerful story former Vice President Joe Biden tells on the campaign trail, including just 6 days ago. But according to the Washington Post, it's actually a story that's made up of 3 different events that Biden has conflated into a single incident.
Now,
conflated, not straight lied, conflated.
Not lied. Yep. And see, this piece opens up with, it's a powerful story. It's a powerful story.
Take a listen.
I've been in and out of Afghanistan and Iraq over 30 times.
You're a war hero.
With a security detail. On a plane with armor on its belly so it doesn't get shot out of the sky. Right?
Medals on, silver stars on soldiers up in the upper Konar Valley in the middle of a firestorm the poor guys have gone through. Young Navy captain, Navy, up in the mountains in the Konar Valley in Afghanistan.
I didn't know there was many. I didn't know there was many oceans up in the mountains of Afghanistan, Jace. Did you know?
Well, to be fair, when he's talking about there,
I know. Don't ruin it.
Right.
Don't ruin it.
One of his buddies got shot, fell down a ravine about 60 feet. 4-star general asked me whether I'd go up into the fob. Now everybody got concerned. The vice president
go up into the fob. I got to throw out my acronyms. I got to make you think I had on a bulletproof vest and I was carrying an M14. I was ready to take them bastards out.
And all the while, the soldiers are standing there going, "Look at this pogue, motherfucker! Look at this ramp."
We can lose a vice president. We can't lose many more of these kids. Not a joke.
Not a joke.
This guy climbed down a ravine, carried this guy up on his back under fire. And the general wanted me to pin the silver star on him. I got up there and Stan, this is God's truth. My word is a Biden.
My word is a Biden.
His attention.
My word is a Biden.
I went to pin him. I said, "Sir, I don't want the damn thing. Do not pin it on me, sir. Please, sir. Do not do that." He died. He died.
The Washington Post found that Biden was a senator, not the vice president.
My word is a Biden.
Afghanistan.
That's only one. That's only one.
That's only one.
In 2008, the service member honored in that instance was an Army specialist, not a Navy captain, and Biden
My
did
word
not
is a Biden.
pin the medal on him. Biden did award the Bronze Star to then Staff Sergeant Chad Workman in 2011 for
a bronze. It was a different star.
It's a totally different medal.
But you can see the presentation here, right? If this were Donald Trump, this would be scandal. It'd be scandal, constant scandal. Look how far the corporate press is going out of their way to cover for this guy. Oh, we've got another one. Sleepy-eyed son of a bitch, Chuck Todd and crew discussing why you should let Joe Biden lie because really he's doing it for the right reasons, James.
My word is a Biden.
Trump to me is a shield for him on this stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd give Joe a break. Joe's a storyteller. He makes his points through anecdotes, through stories.
He's a storyteller, guys.
Wait.
Come on. Give him a break.
My word as a Biden. My word as a Biden. Just keep that in mind here. By the way, real quick, because you just put Jay Johnson on there. Jay Johnson's being investigated as part of the whole FISA problem with the government corruption too. I just thought I'd throw that out there since I see his name on screen.
Oh dear. Well, I mean, we'll give Jay Johnson a break. He's a storyteller. You know, that's how he gets his point across, James, with anecdotes.
Yeah.
With, well-meaning. It doesn't matter if there's a few fibs in there. Doesn't matter if there's a few historical inconsistencies, if you want to put it that way. We would never say lie. We would never say lie. That's too harsh a word. That's too strong. I would say momentary lapse of honesty. How about that? Can we call it one of those, please? Joe Biden, he's a storyteller. It's not his fault.
And is probably thinking, let's not get the small details in the way of a very
small details.
Like a very powerful story.
Nothing about the story was true. Nothing. The small details would be like, I had this Mexican server that was serving me, but he was actually Guatemalan. See, that's a small detail. Maybe, right, at least the guy was Hispanic, right? Come on. This guy didn't have a single part of the story right. My word is Biden.
James, I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you and the audience a story. And when I was a young man, about the age of 21, I remember the first day I walked into spring training for the Dallas Cowboys. And the coach said to me, Boogie, you're never going to make it here. You're an Australian. You've never even held an American football before. You've put the helmet on backwards. You don't know what the hell you're doing. And I said, stick with me, coach. Stick with me. I'll prove you all wrong. And we went through the season, and then halfway through the season, I suffered a crippling knee injury, which forced me to amputate the bottom half of my right leg, James. But I didn't let it hold me back. And then when we got to the conference final, I threw the magical touchdown pass that saw us progress to the Super Bowl, which we didn't win because I didn't play because I had another engagement to go to that night. So I couldn't make it. And, you might say to me, but Boogie, that story's not true. It didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
And I would say to you, well, hey, come on, be fair. I really did. Look, here's the truth. I sprained my ankle and I watched a Cowboys game on the lounge that weekend and ate popcorn, but I don't want you to get bogged down in these small details.
Small details.
The point is, I'm a storyteller. I'm a storyteller. I get my point across. Don't you see how I'm trying to inspire the youth of the world to overcome, James? Don't you see this is an inspirational story of having a can-do attitude?
That's right.
Don't get bogged down in the small details. It's not my fault. I'm a storyteller. This is how I get my point across, by telling fibs.
And so I'd give him a break on this. And apparently the person on whom he pinned the medal acknowledged that he actually got the medal. So the point he's trying to make is not self-aggrandizement. It's simply to demonstrate the heroism of the men and women in our...
Don't worry about what he actually says. Worry about the point he's trying to make.
He didn't get the medal.
What planet am I living on?
He didn't get the medal. Some other guy got a bronze star. The guy didn't get the fucking medal. There was no guy. There was no silver star. There was no fucking medal.
What the hell is going on? What the hell? What planet am I on? What universe are we in? They've been talking about... You need to come back from this for a minute. You need to remember the last 3 years. What have they been saying for the last 3 years? That you cannot have a guy in the White House that tells lies. You can't have it. You need to be telling the truth. And now the top runner for the Democrats comes out, tells provable lies, and they go on TV and say, hey, don't get so upset. Don't worry so much about the truth. He's a storyteller. What the hell are you going to do? Think of the point here. Don't get caught up on the small details. It is unbelievable. Like, surely people can't be fooled by this, right? Surely, Democrats must be watching this going, is this guy fucking serious? Is he serious? I thought we care about the truth. I thought we care about people telling lies. What the hell is going on?
I just want to be clear. Look, for all of my work over the last year, Donald Trump has pinned the Congressional Medal of Honor on me because I had to put up with this kind of bullshit from the left and go through this every week. What the fuck? The guy didn't exist. The story didn't happen. It wasn't a guy from the Navy. There was no Silver Star. I mean, great. Joe Biden as a senator pinned my fucking expert pistol marksman fucking badge on me. Who the fuck cares? It's not, the guy didn't get a medal. There was no fucking guy. God!
Our U.S. military, which is a totally valid point.
It's a valid point? He's making a valid point by telling lies, James. See, he didn't even make the point. This guy is making the point for him and then saying, oh, that's his point. That's the point he's trying to make. See, how can we go on? How can we go on with this situation where one side is held to a standard where everything must be taken literally at all times, okay? Everything you say, there is no room for humor. There's no room for sarcasm. There's no room for anything. Everything you say is taken literally at all times. And then on the other side, nothing you say is to be taken literally. Everything is subjective. Even the stories that you tell, people will come out and defend the story as the right thing to do, even though it's provably false, because they like you. So we're at next level stuff here. Speaking of which, James, let's warm up your hammering arm because it's time for the hammering.
Real quick, right before I push this button, Kevin makes a great point. Joe Biden's not even qualified to be on Sesame Street, much less the Electric Company. The Electric Company. You guys remember that show? The Electric Company.
Stop the hammering.
It's been a while since we've done one of these.
The Weekly Filter.
It's been a while since we checked in with Bri, but since we were talking about honesty in reporting, James, and you know, the necessity to get things right, damn it, and be a storyteller, I thought we'd check in with Bri once again to see what he's upset about this week. Let's have a look.
But first, the most complicated relationship in Washington, one that affects all of us. It is Trump and Fox, Fox and Trump.
Trump and Fox.
The president gets his briefings from Fox. He gets led by Fox, often gets misled by Fox. He hires people from Fox. He fires people based on what he hears on Fox.
Really?
And he firms up his base through the network.
Right.
But he has also been complaining about the network. In fact, more than 20 times this year by my count.
Okay. Do I have to point it out? And I know the majority of our audience gets this, but just in case you're one of the very few that doesn't, do I need to point out how asinine and ridiculous it is to make the premise of your argument that Donald Trump is joined to the hip at Fox News, that Donald Trump loves Fox News, he uses Fox News, it's all Fox all the time. Trump and Fox, Fox and Trump. He hires based on Fox, he fires based on Fox. He gets his briefings from Fox, he gets led by Fox, he gets misled by Fox. It's all about Fox. Fucking Fox, 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 Fox. But he also hates them and has said so 20 times this year. He's also speaking out against them. So complicated, this relationship.
I want to know who he thinks is actually from Fox going to the White House every day to give him the presidential daily briefing. Because apparently that's what he's saying, right? Fox News is his presidential daily briefing. So does Sean travel there? Does he? Oh, maybe that's it. There you go. Steve Doocy every morning is driving to the White House, giving Donald Trump the fucking presidential daily briefing, and then going and doing Fox and Friends. Occasionally, they have to have Brian Kilmeade come along to explain things to Steve, but for the most part, that's what's going on.
Hi, welcome to another edition of Fox and Friends. This morning, pharmaceutical commercials coming out of our assholes. We have a wonderful story about a 10-year-old girl who wants to go to the Olympics. And here's your daily presidential briefing, Mr. Trump.
This week, he claimed that Fox has changed so much that the network, quote, isn't working for us anymore.
Duh.
Now, this is funny, though. Because, again, now we're taking everything literally. Now, I've seen when, you know, journalists at CNN and MSNBC and ABC feel as though they're under attack. They say it's our job to get information for you, the public. We're working for you. We work for you, right? So the you, in that sense, is the public watching, the audience, okay? So I tend to think Fox isn't working for us. Us he's talking about is the people, right? The audience, the public. They're not working for us anymore. That's the assumption I make from that. I could be wrong, but I tend to think that's what he's getting at. But let's have a look what Brian thinks.
What an incredible admission.
Incredible.
Trump really thinks Fox belongs to him and his supporters.
thinks Fox belongs to him and his supporters. Did he piss on it? Did he mark his territory at Fox?
It's unlike anything we've ever seen in modern media.
Nothing
Forget
like
how
we've ever
Fox's
seen.
critics view the network. Trump is saying that he views the network as an arm of the White House and the GOP.
Look how serious he is. Look at this serious face. So, from...
Oh, we lost your audio, Boog. We lost your audio. If you can hear me. Boog, we lost your audio if you can hear me. I don't know which way it's going. Test, test. Testing, testing. Testing. Got that. Testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, now I'm not getting audio from you. Can you hear me now? Testing 1, testing 2. What a shit show. What a shit show. Oh shit. We're gonna go, let's go like this. This. Testing, testing. Why do I got no audio coming back? You can hear me. I know you guys can hear me now. Now I'm trying to bring in Boogie again. It's my fault. Something happened on my system. My system is having like major issues right now. It's trying to be an asshole. How about now? Can you hear me now? Test, test, test. All right, that's going out over Skype. But I'm not having anything come in off of Skype. Let's try this real quick. How about now? You got me now? You got me? Nope. Test, test, test. Shit me, shit. No, this definitely happened to my system, guys, so it's not Boogie's fault. It's my system that's having an issue, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to come right back. We're going to end this, and we're going to come back. And I will text Boogie. We'll be right back.